Nice Kershaw, canned onion. And then this thing, you guys know what this is? I think we found Neptune's spear.
There you go.
Best is yet to come. Hot today. I have got clinkage disease because whammo, look at there. One toss and I got me a brand spanking new rainbow trout pattern spoon, and it is a Thomas Cyclone S515 1/4 ounce. That's Dandy. She's going in tackle box.
Hi, this is Hollywood Klink, and now what we found, or Dad found, was the bolt. Colonel Klink found the bolt. And then I looked down. I was looking at the bolt, and I looked down and saw this was missing. And then I thought, wait, and I looked at this, and it was basically the exact same thing. So I decided to put it in. Then I looked under, and I saw that it needed a nut, and it was missing a nut. See how this one is and that one's not?
Dad caught a nut too.
And then I found a nut, then Dad caught a nut. And so I was just going to screw it onto here. Then I got to take the needle nose pliers to tighten it.
Good job, Drew. Giving back.
Oh, hang on, got to open up a bit more. There we go. There.
Nice job, Drew. We got some clinkage on the end of the rope. What is it? Here we go. What in the world is it? I think it's another one of the spear tip hubinators. It is. And, bam, I didn't even see that on there. Look at here. We got us a pink jigging spoon. Look at that. Ting, ting, single hook spoon. Nice iridescent pearl on the bottom side. And we got another one of those. Oop, that one's kind of falling apart. Ugh. Another one of those chain spear point looking with nannies there. No idea what that is. Alright, stay tuned. See what we find next. Got a hold of something here, and it's a daredevil spoon. Look at that. The zing, and then we have a conglomeration of crap attached to it. You always check this stuff because you just never know what is going to be on the other end of the line. It could be another goodie underneath there, underneath this glob of stuff, but it's not. So we'll take the rest of it. It looks like the spoon's pretty rusted, so we're just going to throw it in the trash, but another lure. Alright, here we are. We're going to check out and see what this thing is. We actually found out a little bit of the history on this thing already. You can see on here there's some markings. It looks like there's a P, a K, and an F right here. Let's see if we can get that a little clearer. Can you see that? Get a close-up of that. P, K, and F. There's a, look at here, so I don't get my fat fingers in the way. But there's a K inside the P and an F right here, and then a large letter P right here. Okay, and there's like a spike on this thing and a ring. Alright, so what this is called, it's called a log dog. So apparently this was used in logging days where they drove this spike into a log so they could attach them with cables or chains so they could float them and drag them to the mill. And we just dug one off the bottom of this lake here. And so we're going to find out the history of logging on this lake, and we'll be right back to you. Stay tuned and see what we come up with next with information on the log dog. We found the history on this stuff, and this is so cool because we found other stuff like this and we didn't know what it was. Alright, so what these are called log dogs. What they did is they drove these into the logs, and they either threaded and linked the logs together with either cable or a rope or chain, okay? And these were driven into the logs. So these are called log dogs. Now, that led us to go, what's the logging history here on Lake Stevens, Washington? So then we looked it up, and here's what we found. Get a load of this. It says, the city of Lake Stevens in Snohomish County, about 8 miles east of Everett, is named after the glacial lake it surrounds. The lake was named on an 1855 map for the Washington Territory Governor Isaac I. Stevens, 1818 to 1862. Settlers began claiming land around the lake in the late 1800s. In the early 20th century, Rucker Brothers Timber Company built a rail line to the lake and a sawmill. So that's where these come into play. Okay, they're drawing workers and their families to the area. Rucker Mill was destroyed by fire in 1925, but soon visitors were arriving by the carload at resorts scattered around the lake. In the 1960s, the Frontier Village Shopping Center opened up at the intersection of State Route 9 and State Route 204, and the development led to incorporation of the Lake Stevens. The lake resort culture gave way to suburbia and additional areas around the lake annexed into the city. The second decade of this 21st century growth in Lake Stevens was outpacing that in Snohomish County as a whole. The city had more than 31,000 residents in 2016 and 40,000 by forecast in 2035. So there you go. We have logging history right here. It's also been told that there's a train at the bottom of this lake. Okay, so they were doing logging in a sawmill and then loading the trains with that to bring timber out of here back in the day. Okay, and their train is still at the bottom of the lake. The actual Navy found it doing sonar exercises out here on the lake, and that train is still at the bottom of the lake, buried in like 14 feet of silt, from what I understand it, from what I read about it. But if you look here, we have 3 different log dogs that we found today, and so we are going to name them the good, the bad, and the ugly. So there you have it, logging history from the 1800s. We pulled up with our cone brute magnet off the bottom of the Lake Stevens here. Get your Klink on, people. It's not just about treasure. You discover history doing this if you research what you're looking at. And like I say, this on the good one here, it has symbols on it, a P with a little K inside the bubble on the P and an F below it. So that was the manufacturer of this particular log dog. So there you go. This was hit right here. You can see the flat spot on here. See that flat spot? So this was hit with a big mallet style hammer and drive that into the log so that they could turn around and thread cable or chain or rope through to tie these logs all together in a raft and float them up to the mill. Isn't that cool? A piece of logging history from the 1800s pulled up off the bottom of the lake. You never can tell what you're going to find. Get your Klink on, people. Just got done talking about the history of those log dogs and how they would bring the logs together with chains, cable, or rope. Well, look at here. Same area I found that one in. And here is chain right here. Look, big old chain off the bottom. Alright, let's get the magnet out of the way. Let's look at this. All clumped up on the bottom. Some kind of spike here. Let's get rid of the poop. Let's try to lay this out and see what we got. Look at the chain links here. Look at. Boom. We got some chain from the 1800s coming up right here. That was attached to those log dogs. Dropped in the bottom of the lake. Look at that. There's the eyelet there. We got chain link probably from the 1800s here. Looks like this part's kind of rusted together. Broke it free. Try to get these loosened up and get the garbage off of there. Look at there. Look at that. Boom. So it's proof positive that we're unearthing logging activity from the 1800s based on the log dogs that we found, and then we did the research on how they were used with the chain, and here we are pulling up the chain as evidence that affirms what we found even more. This is awesome. You got to go out magnet fishing in places, especially in historical spots, because you just don't know what you're going to catch on at any given time. When you're out, just be patient, cover every little inch, every little square in a grid pattern, and you'll be amazed at what you find. We found history items today, we found fishing items today, we found knives today, just having a ball. So as usual, get your clink on, people. Here we are finishing up the end of our day. Let's do an inventory list of all the goodies we found today. We found historical items, we found new goodies and items, and we found our fishing tackle. We even found tools. So let's take a look at what we got. We'll start first with the historical stuff because that was what we just got done talking about. So at the risk of sounding redundant, we're going to go through this quick. These are the log dogs, okay, that we just got done talking about in the video, okay? The good, the bad, and the ugly, all right? Now, here's the chain that we just pulled up too, which is a part of what was used in conjunction with these things. Keep in mind, this stuff you're looking at is from the 1800s. The 1800s is 2018. Get a hold of that. With a magnet, throwing it out, dragging the bottom, we're pulling stuff, history up off the bottom of this area. Long before there was houses here or any kind of entertainment or whatever, it was woods, a railroad, and a logging company with a sawmill. Boom. We're touching this from some worker hundreds of years ago, 100 years ago or so, into the now, and you guys get to see it. Awesome stuff. Awesome, awesome stuff when we can take history and bring it into the now based on what do they got hanging off the end of their magnet? What clinkage do they have on their magnet? Here's the tool section. We got a ginormous C-clamp that we pulled off the bottom there. Going to hit that with a little penetrating oil, see if it's worth a darn. It may not be worth anything, and if it's not, in the trash it goes. We also have over here the fishing section. We got some items here that sums a pretty good little sum of cash here, what they're worth. Each one of these spoons is probably $6 to $7 a piece. You got 3 there, 3 times 7, there's 21 bucks. This rattling wrap here, that's a $10 item. So you got another $20 there, so you're looking at, 40-something dollars worth of fishing tackle, and then a steel sinker and weight. We also got a serrated steak knife. Not worth anything. Probably will go in the box for cutting fishing line, but something nonetheless. All right, now here was what I got really excited about today. Look at that name right there, Kershaw. Boom. Ken Onion design, patented. I'll have to look up the value of this knife. I think it's probably in the $40, $50 mark, maybe high 30s. Not real sure yet. But I'll look it up. But nonetheless, this is not a cheap knife. This is a Kershaw USA made knife. It says Speed Safe Kershaw USA right there on the handle. See right there? Look at that. Get real close and look at that. See that? Kershaw Speed Safe USA. Ooh, very tactical, very cool. That will be carried with me from here on out. So I think that's everything we got there, right? All right. We got Hollywood Klink over here. We got Chase Man running the camera. And we can't wait to see next time to see what us old stuff we pull up off the bottom in history we get to tell. And as usual, people, get your Klink.